Welcome to Truth2Power4U. This episode is full of tips and techniques on how you too can make change in your own corner of the world. While the corporate media is generating profit covering the daily distractions, Truth2Power4U is about organizing for action. I'm your host, Brian Kasher. This episode's themes include intersectionality, environmental degradation, justice organizing, race, and the principles of organizing from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s letter from a Birmingham jail. Our musical guest is Joe Jencks, who performs Why Are the Guns Still Firing?, written by Si Kahn. We also have spoken word from DC Youth Slam Poet Team member Dani Miller, and we take a look at movie nights as a tool of local change organizing. Packed program, full of tips and tricks, all ready to go, all right? So, to get us started, here to discuss intersectionality is Reverend Leo Woodbury, pastor of the Kingdom Living Temple in Florence, South Carolina. Reverend Leo is founder and organizes the Justice First Tour and serves as the Environmental Justice Chair of the Sierra Club's Ready for 100 campaign. Here's Rev Leo.
When you work in a community and you work across several issues, you find out that they're intersectional. And so you find out that the young man who can't find a job may get involved in illegal activities to provide money for, say, his girlfriend who's a single mother. And then when he's incarcerated and she doesn't make enough money to feed herself and her child, she may start to rely on fish that's being caught that is contaminated with mercury, and they're consuming more than they should, and now she has a child who has a learning development problem, which just adds to her burden because now she can't get a job. And so when we look at the work, a lot of the work is intersectional.
What is the call to action?
Our call to action is for us to move forward in solidarity. And so because we know that the problems in our community and the issues are intersectional, so if we have someone who is having a direct action, or they have a legislative ask, or they're advocating for something, or they're organizing around something in the community, that because everything is intersectional, whatever benefits accrue from that benefits everybody in the community. So even though I may be working in a different issue area, I need to realize that I need to support that person's organizational efforts or advocacy, etc., for more justice in the community.
Help me understand spirituality and justice.
And in terms of justice, you can't turn your head and look away when an act of injustice occurs and then just feel that you're righteous. That is actually called self-righteousness, and all the faith traditions speak against that. And so as people of faith, we have a calling upon us to be the stewards of the earth. We have a calling upon us to care for those who are the least among us. And so if we are true to those spiritual values, then we have to care about what's happening with our neighbors, with our communities, with our nation, and our cry before all other people should be that we look for justice first as people of faith.
Does it take any special type of person to get involved?
But we need every single person who can make a difference in their home, who can make a difference in their church, who can make a difference when they go to vote for that policy maker who needs to be running on a platform that's based on putting justice first.
You know, justice issues are intersectional in so many ways. It's absolutely up to us to break down the silos that keep our organizing efforts isolated. It's the only way to tie into the synergies of the larger movement for change going on out there. All right. Next up, Danna Smith is founder and executive director of Dogwood Alliance. Danna is a leading voice for change, connecting the dots between climate change, forest destruction, and social justice. Danna has negotiated forest protection commitments from some of the world's largest companies. I mean, some of the world's largest. So here's Danna. How does justice interface with the mission of Dogwood Alliance?
Yeah, well, I think Mahatma Gandhi said it best when he said, what we do to the forests of the world are a mirror reflection of what we are doing to ourselves and to each other. And in the southeastern U.S., we are the world's largest wood producing region. We have a forest destruction rate from logging that is 4 times that of South American rainforests. And our forests are critical not only to stop climate change, but also they protect our communities from floods, they provide abundant clean water, they purify our air. And so when we are destroying forests, we're essentially destroying all of these community benefits, all of these rights that we have to clean water, clean air, to a safe and healthy environment are degraded when our forests are logged at the kind of rate that we're seeing right now in the southeastern U.S. And also this is happening in a way that is putting the profits of this is being concentrated increasingly into the hands of corporations and fewer and fewer people. So the communities where all this logging is happening happen to be some of the poorest communities in the country. Very high poverty rates and unemployment rates. And so even though we have this incredible market for wood, why are our communities poor? Because the profits are being extracted away from the community and the environment is being destroyed.
What insights might you have for folks at the local level and they're not really quite sure what to do?
You know, if you're experiencing something, chances are somebody else has already experienced that. So learn from those who have already experienced that issue that you're trying to address. And and then really you just need to work from your heart, right? You need to, if that is really a seed that is bothering you, don't be afraid to stand up and speak out and bring people together and motivate them to take action to make the situation better, because that's how change happens. It's from people who are inspired and believe that things need to change and that they can help make the change. So the heart is a really important part of organizing.
Danna, thanks for your time and thank you for what you do. Connecting the dots of injustice is real and is needed. Danna's message of working from our hearts is central to successful organizing. If it's not in your heart, it simply won't work. Organizing is all about what's in your heart. All right. Next up, Reverend Dr. Rodney Sadler, who is a well-established justice organizer and campaign leader associated with many, many diverse campaigns for change, like Creation Care NC, Moral Monday, Poor People's Campaign, Jammin', NAACP, Loaves and Fishes, and more. Dr. Sadler is an accomplished author and a biblical scholar. Here's Dr. Sadler. What advice would you have for the person out there who has an issue, something burning in their heart, they need and want to see change, but they really just don't know how to start or how to go about making change?
Well, the first thing I'd say is they need to watch Truth2Power4U. They need to begin to watch the series that you're putting out, because it does inspire people to get involved in activism. But in addition to that, I think that you need to be involved. You need to get involved. Join your local church, join your mosque, your synagogue, join a place where people are coming together. Because the houses of faith are actually places where people are beginning to work on fostering a better world. In addition to this, I'd ask you to get involved in some of the groups that are out there that are working on making positive change. The local NAACP chapter, think about the Sierra Club, Greenpeace, think about all of these wonderful groups that are involved, the Justice Action Mobilization Network, that are involved in trying to foster a better world. Once we get involved, we learn what the issues are, we learn how we can use our power together, we can come together with other like-minded people and work towards a better end. All that we can do is put our all out there. I think I said it this way another time. We have the ability to make the change we need, but the question is, do we have the will? If we can align our will with the ability to make the change, then the world becoming a better place is inevitable.
What do we need to do to find justice in our society?
Well, I think one of the first things that we need to do to begin to work towards justice is we have to begin to address the issue of race. I think race is one of the biggest concerns that we have as a people, and what we tend not to realize is the concept of race does not only disadvantage black and brown peoples. The concept of race disadvantages us all. In essence, what the concept of race does is it erodes the basis of our common humanity. It enables us to think of some as better than and some as worse than. And as long as we're able to do that, then we're never able to be equal. Let me go a step further with this and say this. If we are a nation that is predicated on this basic premise, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all human beings are created equal, that we're endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights. We cannot live into the truth of that statement if we believe that we are separate races, and because we're separate races, we are entitled to different rights and different privileges and different values. In essence, the concept of race undermines the possibility of America, and I'll go even further to say it undermines the possibility of our full humanity.
Very, very well put. You know, I have brown eyes, and if you have blue eyes or green eyes, does that make us any more different than the color of our skin or the color of our blood? Right? There's some powerful stuff here to know and to understand. Okay, it's time for some music for change. Joe Jencks is an award-winning songwriter, 20-year veteran of the international folk circuit, and is a celebrated musician based in Chicago. Here's Joe with the Truth2Power4U version of Si Kahn's Why Are the Guns Still Firing?
Along the Battery in Charleston, South Carolina, the ancient silent cannons point to sea. In 1861 they fired on Fort Sumter. The dead and wounded still cry out to you and me. Why are the guns still firing? Why are the innocent laid low? Why is this war still raging? That should have ended long ago. That war was fought in part to put an end to slavery, the nation's shame we never should forget. 150 years ago the gunners finally rested, but shameless violence still enslaves us yet. Why are the guns still firing? Why are the innocent laid low? Why is this war still raging? That should have ended long ago. Now 9 new souls are added to the millions who've lost their lives in this uncivil war. And it remains unto us the living to spike the guns of hate forevermore. Why are the guns still firing? Why are the innocent laid low? Why is this war still raging? That that should have ended long ago. Why are the guns still firing? Why are the innocent laying low? Why is this war still raging? That should have ended long ago. That should have ended long ago.
You can find Joe Jencks' vast catalog of music online, and be sure to look for The Forgotten, Joe's album of Si Kahn songs reflecting on the human condition. Why are the guns still firing? You know, there is a very real war going on right now for our society, and not all the shots fired are bullets. Voter suppression, ecological devastation, mass incarceration, attacks on our education system, and the war economy are all examples of our society under attack. All right then, what do you do when they come for our rights? Fight, fight, fight! Next up is Mark Thompson. Mark is one of our nation's leading journalists of the people. Mark has served as Washington, D.C. NAACP chapter president, has led, participated in, and reported on many of our nation's most courageous organizing campaigns. And Mark was highly recognized by the national NAACP for, quote, for 25 years of crusading journalism and its outstanding leadership in furthering the work of civil and human rights, unquote. Wow. Here's some advice from Mark.
There are three principles: educate, organize, and mobilize. If you aren't doing those three things, you really aren't doing anything at all. And that's absolutely critical at this hour with all of the things taking place, especially with a crazy man like Trump in the White House. And so we have to be very, very disciplined. Those of us who know and respect Reverend Barber see Reverend Barber for what he is. But, you know, Reverend Barber and I are very close and are brothers in Christ, but all he is, all I am, are disciples of Dr. King. This is not rocket science. And if we read and study and understand, we do just what Dr. King said. And those are the 4 steps in a letter from the Birmingham Jail. Anybody can do them. We don't need to wait on some big personality to do it for us. Wherever you are in your own locale, you can do that. And so those 4 steps are collection of the evidence of injustice, document, study, make a record of the injustice that is being perpetrated against you and your community, be it local or global. The second is once you collect the evidence of that injustice, you go to those committing that injustice. In step 2, and you negotiate. You have demands. This is what we want. This is what we want to change. Whether we want to change, we're here at the People's Climate March, whether we want to change environmental injustice, environmental racism, we go to the corporations that are doing the fracking. We go to the sanitation companies and the trash transfer stations that are proliferated in communities of color and poor community. Say, these are our demands. This must change. And then in that negotiation, if they don't agree and they don't change, step number 3 is what Dr. King calls spiritual purification. And that's not so much religious based, it is literally more spiritually based. That's when you prepare to suffer. That is not just march for marching's sake, but as Reverend Barber and others have done, and as Dr. King did himself, prepare yourself to commit civil disobedience. Prepare if necessary to go to jail or to risk physical harm for what is right. And then step 4, after you've made that preparation in step 3, step 4 is the direct action itself. Sit in, demonstrate, boycott. I don't think we boycott enough. We talk about what corporate America does to us. Well, we can't just talk about it. If we want to hit corporate America, we need to organize, again, educate, organize, and mobilize to take these corporations out. And as consumers, we can do that with our dollars. This is all we need to do. And once we do those things, sooner or later, our victory is certain.
Sometimes boycotts are the most effective tactic. Sometimes personal risks, like being arrested, are the chosen tactic. Thousands of people have been arrested at state capitol actions with the Poor People's Campaign all over America, for instance. But if getting arrested is not for you, you too can have an important role, okay? Simply being there for those who do can be a big help providing moral support, food, transportation, bail, taking photos or video for social media. There are roles for everyone in change organizing. Follow your heart, and you'll find your place in helping us all work for change. Well, to bring us back down a couple of notches, a great way to find local people who want change is to host a movie night. It can be really simple. Movie nights can be as simple as having a few friends, classmates, or co-workers over for a potluck. Or maybe your group can spring for some salad and or a couple pizzas. Food works, seems to. On a larger scale, houses of worship, a restaurant with a meeting room, or microbreweries are great venues to host a movie. And they do appreciate new people coming through the door. They really do. Also, local advocacy groups like to set up info tables about their work too. Inviting different groups can help illustrate intersectionality and brings in more people for the cause too. You know, there are so many great movies out there on almost every topic. You know, a good movie to start with could be, for instance, The Light Bulb Conspiracy. This movie chronicles where the manufacturers deliberately shorten the life of consumer products specifically and intentionally to increase their sales and profit at our expense. The Light Bulb Conspiracy is available free on social media. Hey, everybody can relate to getting ripped off, right? I'm getting mad just thinking about it. Okay, we talked to organizers from Mountain True about their experience putting together a Sunday afternoon movie.
We decided it would be great to look at the influence of money in politics in North Carolina, which influences a lot of the things that David and I work on with environmental issues. And so really just a chance to get the conversation started with folks here, to get them involved and engaged in political issues, and that's really the first step.
People are concerned, and people are getting out, they're marching and coming together in community groups to make things happen, and this is one example of that. People really wanting to get involved and make a difference.
We promoted it on social media, within the local newspapers. We also did an email announcement to all of our contacts in the area. So, you know, that's the important thing. It's back to the grassroots, bringing the folks that know the area, that know the communities, and can turn out the people.
Wonderful. That's great.
Yeah, Shelby's a pretty tight community here, and I think that you know, we posted some flyers around. We talked to Lewis and Jordan here at Newgrass, and the word just gets around. People get excited about coming together for something that they believe in.
You know, a movie night might just be the thing to get your organizing campaign started, or could bring a more diverse group of people to your existing campaign. I know well that a lot of you are tired of the constant, never-ending struggles for justice. It just never ends. It just never ends. Here's Dani Miller of the DC Youth Slam Poet Team with her spoken word take on the situation titled, Tired.
Poetry has taught me how to love myself. It has taught me how to have a voice, and it's taught me that I do have a voice, and that I need to speak up about what's going on in this country and about the immorality that's going on in this country, and that people will listen. Okay, this poem is called Tired. I'm tired of writing poems about oppression. I'm probably just as tired of writing them as you are of hearing them. I'm tired of bleeding for this paper. I'm tired of bleeding for those who have no more blood left to shed. I'm tired of writing poems about oppression. I'm tired of finding the most eloquent way to comprehend this cruelty, to glorify all these deaths. There is nothing about this struggle that is poetic. My poetry is hardly beautiful. It is hardly poetic. I am tired of being poetic. There is no metaphor I could write that could make a museum of their bodies, of our bodies. No simile could slide America out of our choices. No score is high enough to bring back our boys, and I'm tired. I'm tired of taking my rage and turning it into beautiful, into 3 minutes, into the fascinating plight of a struggling artist, and I'm tired of writing about oppression. I'm tired of spilling myself into these words only for nothing to change, only for us to be in the same place tomorrow and next month and next year, and I'm tired of unity. And I'm tired of politicians who say that unity is our only option, who say he's our president so we should give him a chance, as if he hasn't had his chance forever, as if over the course of American history, people like him have ever given us one. I'm tired of respectability politics and of people who tell us to hug our oppressors, as if peace is the same thing as justice, as if the patriarchy doesn't objectify the passive girls too, as if Martin and Malcolm didn't die the same way. I'm tired of feminism that isn't intersectional, and I'm tired of movements that aren't intersectional, and I'm tired of white women who voted for Trump. All 53% of y'all. We preach sisterhood, but then turn our backs on queer women, Muslim women, and women of color when they need us most. We put the weight of our struggle on their shoulders, but when they need our support, we disappear. Would prefer to white out our womanhood, and I'm tired of that. And I'm tired of writing poems about oppression. I'm probably just as tired of writing them as you are of hearing them, but we both aren't as tired as the women who are forced to let politicians make decisions about their body, as people who have to live in poverty day in and day out, as residents of Flint who are still being poisoned, as children texting their parents goodbye from under a school desk, as kids being detained and separated from their families at the border, as people forced to protest as a means of protecting their own humanity. I'm tired of writing poems about oppression. And that is why I keep writing them. Thank you.
All right, Dani. Many of us are getting tired of the injustice too, and that is exactly why we will persist working for positive change. Thank you, Dani, and thank all of you who have helped put this program together and those who work for change out there. In closing, here's EDA Chant reminding us that history shows that even when people think something is generally impossible, it can be made to happen. Here's Annie singing her inspirational Out There. Get out there, folks.
People thought they were off their rockers. They'd never get that airplane off the ground. Till one morning out in Kitty Hawk in that Carolina sky, she flew 12 seconds before she came back down. Then people thought the sky was the limit, that going to the moon could not be done. But when the eagle landed, that brave space cowboy took one small step and proved everybody wrong. Out there, dancing on a wire, out there, running through the fire. They ain't afraid to fall, they live to risk it all. If you're gonna do a lot, then you gotta be a little out there. A seamstress from Montgomery, Alabama, stayed seated on a bus and took a stand. That brazen little move caused a revolution. She broke every boundary when she wouldn't budge an inch. So if you think that you won't make a difference, that what you're trying to prove is too bizarre, remember it's the dreamers, the do-or-die believers, that march right into history just being who they are. Out there, dancing on a wire, out there, running through the fire. They ain't afraid to fall, they live to risk it all. If you're gonna do a lot, then you gotta be a little out there. and says, let's live to risk it all, and don't be afraid to fall. If we're gonna do a lot, then we gotta be a little out there. People thought they were off their rocker. Nice. Woo. Thank you. Thank you.